I think, as you correctly pointed out, we've been allies for a long time. In fact, France really was America's first real ally, and we owe the success of the American Revolution to what we got in terms of support from France, both in terms of the French fleet and in terms of French financial support for the Continental Congress during the Revolutionary War. So it goes way back. The fact is that we're both revolutionary countries. We're countries born of revolutions. And I think that gives us a certain cultural affinity with one another. A lot of the principles of the American Revolution were generated in France, and a lot of the principles of the French Revolution were generated as a result of the American Revolution. So there are ties that are both cultural, and then there's these general ties of sort of philosophical approaches to rule of the governed, the consent of the governed, liberty, equality, fraternity, very similar to the principles of the American Revolution. Not exactly the same. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what we called it, but there's enough convergence for there to be lots of overlap. The other thing is that even now, these are two countries with world views. I mean, the U.S. is bigger, has a bigger army, it's a bigger country than France, but France plays a role in the world which is quite significant. It has a strong military which is capable of acting not just in the European continent, but other parts of the world. French diplomacy is a global diplomacy, not just an EU diplomacy, although it certainly does that, but it can play a greater role in Middle East, North Africa, other parts of Africa. The US and France don't always agree on what the goals of our nation's diplomacy ought to be, but they both understand that each country has a world view, and each country has a strong diplomatic history and is not shy about using their diplomatic influence in other parts of the world. So I would say that on the major issues, the US and France collaborate very well. Dealing with anti-terrorism, on many of the Middle East issues, the US and France work together. On Iraq, obviously there were differences of opinion about the Iraq War, but year in and year out, if you take the general trend, the US and France have a very rich, strong, robust, diplomatic, cooperative approach to most issues. And even when we differ on the basis of reason. I mean, the French have their reasons for doing things, we have ours. So while there are periods of time where we have substantial differences, there's always a rich discourse between the K and the State Department and other agencies who are charged with addressing